What on earth is going on?
Because that is the problem.
Now I've got to second guess myself. Oh, no. Have I? Team, let me give you the scenario of what we're about to do. Just before Christmas, at work, a few of us were going off to have a Christmas lunch. My boss was visiting us from overseas. So, all good, normal. We had more than 5 of us, so we took 2 cars, and I happened to be taking the dream car, the Chrysler 300. Anyway, almost at our destination, and we've been driving for about 25 minutes, and my warning light for the temperature came on the dash. This has never happened. It took me by surprise big time. It was a warm day, but regardless, it has never happened. We've had plenty of warm days here in sunny Perth. So that kind of hit panic stations. So, got to where we needed to get to, just opened the bonnet and found that the thermostat housing was cracked. I thought, okay, at least I know what the issue is. Had lunch, put some water in it because that gave it time to cool down, and then actually just drove it straight home. Borrowed a different car and went to work. Finished the day out. This is where our story begins.
Yes, so here you can see, this is what it looks like when your thermostat housing is cracked and letting miles of steam out of the engine. Not a good look. Here is a still, so you can see what the actual thermostat housing looks like, and there it is, the actual damage. So, we need to take it out. First thing I'm going to do is clean the engine bay. A good degreasing first, and then the pressure washer. Out, clean it, get it spotless, so I don't get grease and dirt all over me when I'm trying to work on it. Now we're going to take the whole thing apart. To get to it, I've got to get the air cleaner off. So first of all, there's a clamp here on the air box. Take the engine cover off, and then the other end of the air system, there's just 2 hose clamps, one on either end, and that's it. Oh, and there is a sensor attached, which I'm pretty sure, I think, is the air temperature sensor. I could be wrong. If you know what it is, let me know. Yes, this awesome hose clamp from AliExpress is being used again. Clamp it down, move the clamp out of the way, and here's another new tool from that wonderful website. A cordless ratchet makes things so much quicker and easier. Off of the thermostat housing, now just need to pull it off of the hose, and it's a good sign because it's actually pretty clean.
Team, I've got the thermostat housing out. You can see on the top here, it's really cracked, like through. It's like a Y section. We're going to use some of this JB Weld high temp stuff. I've had a couple of friends, Lockie and another friend, said, yep, this stuff will work. So I do have one of these, like I said before, yes, coming from AliExpress in aluminium for 25 bucks. But that's going to take a couple of weeks to get here, especially with the Christmas rush now on. So we're going to put some of this on here and have a quick read of what's actually required. Because I don't know if I just need to clean it and shove it on, or I need to scuff it up a bit. But I'm about to find out. I've never used this before, so. But no one at Perth's got one. And I need the car, obviously.
So, first of all, let's just clean it off. Make sure that it is wax and grease and dust free, because obviously that needs to be spotless for this product to do its job. It's a 2-part, as you can see. So you just got to pour a small amount out. You're making your own judgment as to how much you need. Give it a really good mix up, mix it together, make sure there's absolutely no separate colors at all. It's all just one dark gray color, and then just apply it on. As we're going to work out a little later, I've kind of done this slightly incorrectly. Now this had a bit of a longish curing time. I just needed to speed up a little bit because it was quite runny.
Team, back in the workshop, it has been a day and a half since I have put the JB Weld on here. It is fully set, fully cured. It is hard as. So we're going to reassemble the thermostat, get it back in the Chrysler and put some coolant in and check for any leaks.
So, give everything a quick clean before we put it back together. The seal is still in good condition. Put in, and this is where I shouldn't have taken the thermostat out, as we're going to find out later. Put it back in. 2 bolts, they're just 10 mils. Hose back on. Put the clamp back in place. And that's that done. Now, just a reverse of everything that we did to take it apart. And clean it back in place. Hose clamps up. And get some coolant into the expansion tank.
Alright, let's start it up and see if there are any leaks. It looks all good, there's no leaks. One of these pulleys is making a bit of a noise, so that's going to have to be looked at. But there's no leaks. So I'll put the top cover back on. And I'm going to go for a run, so keep an eye on the temperature gauge. Check that the JB Weld is holding and wait for the new part to arrive. Okay, after driving it around a little bit, the temperature still went up. I came out, radiator, the expansion tank was bubbling away, so there's probably some air in the system, but there was a tiny, tiny bit of water coming out from the spot that I had repaired. So that thermostat has pushed against the housing still where it's cracked, and it's still causing a problem. So I need to take it apart quickly, get it dried, get it cleaned on the inside, put a bit of the JB Weld on the inside to counteract it, and put it inside and bake it because I need it to cure super quick. I need the car working until the aluminium one arrives. So Callum and I are going to pull that apart, get it done, and get it back together in the next couple of hours, and hopefully that will suffice until the other part arrives, because there is no other option. I also need to jump online and see what it is about how to get the air out of the system if that's the case, because that's gone right down, so maybe it's sucked it in that what I had put in there. So let's get on with it.
So, take it all apart again, because now I've done it once, everything's a lot quicker. The big problem was I shouldn't have taken the thermostat out of the actual housing.
Okay, it's off.
Team, let me give you a recap as to where we are and what's going on. After putting the JB Weld epoxy on the thermostat housing, I made the slight mistake that I did not put the actual thermostat itself back in the housing, because that's putting the pressure on, creating the crack. So of course that's relaxed the tiniest amount, not even anything that we could probably see with our human eyes, but when I put the epoxy on, it's set for the full 24 hours. I've put the thermostat back in, put it in the car. Of course, that pressure of the thermostat moved the housing back out and it cracked the epoxy welding. So, plan B. Back down the shop, grab some JB Weld high temp silicon, and I've put it on the inside of the housing, as you can see. Now, after then letting that dry, putting it in Sunday morning, because I needed a vehicle, I had to get to church, I had a gig in the afternoon, put it in, went for a drive, seemed all good, but it was a cooler morning. Anyway, on the way to church. Got 7/8 of the way there, and the temperature gauge whoop, was up. And I was like, what is going on? I realized after checking online that the system needs to be vacuum bled, because there is air in the system. If there's air in the system, it is going to get hot because you can't have air in the system. Now, I didn't realize, and I should have questioned myself, on the thermostat housing itself, as you can see here, this little bit with a cross on top, which is actually the bleed screw. So I've since found out, after being online again, that you need to, as you're filling the car when it's not running, open that bleed screw till your coolant, your water comes out, close the bleed screw. That is the majority of the air out of the system. Not all of it, but the mass majority. If you park it up slightly on a hill or bring it in your shed, your workshop, and you raise the front up, you're going to get just that bit more air out. And I had done that also later. But the car is still overheating. I thought the car was good. Took it to work, went to a rehearsal afterwards, and on the way to the rehearsal, she was overheating. And I was like, what on earth is going on? Anyway, on the way home, because it was much late at night, it was a lot cooler, it was still getting hot, and it was getting hot really quickly. So there's still a major problem. After having to stop, pull over on the side of the road 3 times, 20 minutes each time to let the engine cool down, because I had run out of water to put into it because I was carrying 5 litres. I eventually got home, and I have now decided that I'm going to have to pressurize the whole system, because I'm sure there must be another leak in there because water is just disappearing. So I've been down to a pool and spa shop. I've grabbed what is an expansion plug. I've taken, there's normally a bolt, washers on here, you put it in the hole of your spa or whatever it is, and you pull it and it probably expands, because this is really soft rubber. Now, the opening in the top of the radiator of the expansion tank is only just under 30 millimeters. Now, this is a 40 mil, and this was actually about 35 mil, and I've shaved it down. Because it's so soft, I'll be able to screw this into the expansion tank. It has a hole in it already. I'm going to put a tire valve in the top, and we're going to fill the system with air, with the water in it, and see if I can see where the water is coming out, because I'm sure it must be. And if it's not, well, this will show me that it's not. And it must mean that the thermostat itself may be stuffed. So if that's the case, I will just take the thermostat out of the housing until the new one arrives, which should be within a week. I hope it's here by next week. You can't just take the thermostat out and just run the car, because your fuel economy will just drop considerably, and you're just putting extra wear on the internals of your block, which obviously I don't want to do. So let's get this into the expansion tank, get some air in the system, and let's see if I can find another leak. Out to the car, right, I have got the rubber. I've also got an old valve that's been cut off of a tube, and it just happens to be nice and tight and fit really well. So I'm just going to squeeze it in basically halfway. That's pretty tight, and rubber on rubber is going to seal pretty well. We'll shove that in, put it on, pressurize it, see what happens. That is sealing well. All right, I'm not going to over pressurize it. Well, I need to hold that sucker down. I need to buy a proper kit where they screw on and obviously aren't going to come off. And I don't have one.
You just can't let some of these things, little setbacks, like, you know, the plug nearly blowing in your face, you know, you just got to keep giving it a go, right? So I thought I won't put as much pressure in the system and I'll take the air gun off. But, well, that really didn't work either.
Now that the engine is like wet all over, it's now going to make it far harder to try and find where the water's coming out, because, you know, my theory was when it's all dry, you'd easily find water coming out somewhere. Now there's water splashed everywhere. It's not going to be as easy at all to find. So maybe I'll let all this dry off and I'll come back and try again. Ay, ay, ay. Right tools for the job make a huge difference. This is not exactly the right tool for the job, but it's all I have.
I was so determined that this idea would work. There is water in there, putting pressure on top of it would then force the water coming out of the hose or wherever that I could see it. So I had to give it another go to have a look. But to no avail. I just couldn't even hold the rubber plug down because it was just a small amount of pressure would just blow it off.
Not going to plan as I hoped.
So, how about this? Wire it on so it can't come off.
Okay, as you can see, I have wired the cap on. I put the original washer that it came with back on. Happens to be the perfect size that the valve can sit in. It's now wired on. That's not going to come off. So we're going to put some air in, and that will then allow me to then leave it and have a look around, see if I can hear any leaks, hear any water coming out or not. So let's try that.
You can hear just by the sound of the air that it's pressurizing the system, and here it is, I don't have to hold it at all. So it kind of was doing what I wanted to do, and it gave me the chance to start looking around as much as I possibly could. But nothing.
Okay team, I cannot hear, I cannot see any water coming out of anywhere. I even put some more pressure inside it. I was blocking off the little escape valve, or whatever it is that the actual radiator cap would let, if it, you know, pressurized and got too hot and would let steam out. Block that off, and I couldn't hear anything. It was definitely coming out of the valve a little bit. I stopped that from happening and listened. Couldn't hear anything. I couldn't see any water coming down. So next is to just take the thermostat out of the housing. I'm going to put it back together and I'll take it for a run, see if I can get it to warm up, and because I need the car for the next, well, until that aluminium one arrives, I need this running. I don't have a spare vehicle. The Merc is still not done, as you're aware. So I need a car and I need to have it running. So that is the only thing left I can do. It's not ideal, but it's temporary to get the car running and hopefully stop it from overheating. So let's get on with that.
This is a last resort, so take it all apart again. Hose off. Take off the thermostat housing, two 10mm bolts. And the thermostat itself is literally just clipped in with a spring. Out. That's it. Put it all back together without it in there. This should work. Back on with the air cleaning system, and I'm becoming an absolute expert by now. in with some water because I'm not going to waste the coolant until I know it works. Open the bleed screw because now I know what it does. And you can clearly hear the air coming out of the system. Excellent. And then the water comes out and you know that's the majority of the air out. Making sure there's no little bubbles, leaving it dribble out a little bit, topping it up, making sure that you're not going to run out of fluid and put more air in the system. And then when you're pretty convinced, you just tighten the bleed screw up again.
Okay, it is all back together. You saw how the bleed screw works. We'll put the expansion tank cap back on. Gonna take it for a drive and see how it goes. So it's gonna be a while because it takes a little while for it to warm up. But the idea is that this supposedly won't warm up anywhere near as quick and in theory shouldn't overheat. But if it does, then we'll go from there. So anyway, I'll let you know how it goes. I'm on the side of the road. It was just all good and fine for ages. And then the temperature gauge got up to 3/4, which it just shouldn't do with the thermostat out. So there's obviously still an issue. Whether it's now pulled the water into the motor more and it's slightly less water, that could be it, but I did bleed it, so I'm just going to let the bleed screw go because I did bring the screwdriver and see what happens.
And the fact that all of this steam is coming out means there's just air in the system.
You can see that letting out a lot of hot air. Well, I've just been to the paint place in Rockingham. Shout out to those guys and especially Noah for helping us out. Paint, plastic, all the stuff we need is in the back. Now we're just going to go to Veals, pick up a water pump for the Chrysler 300, and I'm going to get that sucker in because that is the problem. Well, I think that's the problem. Team, I've got the Chrysler at the workshop out the front because obviously the Merc is inside. When you've taken the thermostat out and your car is still overheating, you've got a serious problem. I was speaking to one of the guys at work and he said, gotta be your water pump. Shout out to Kurgan for throwing that out to me because I should have clicked earlier. When the water's in the expansion tank, it wasn't moving, and that is also a telltale sign that the water is not moving around, it's not flowing around the motor, hence it's getting hot because when there's no thermostat in and the air's just rushing through the radiator, it should just be keeping this thing really, really cool, but it wasn't. So we're going to take the air cleaner just off of here. That gives us access to it underneath. I checked out a video online. Looks reasonably easy. We've got 3 different size bolts, 10, 13 and a 16 mil on the water pump. We've got a new one here to go in. So we're going to get it out. I might not get it completed this afternoon, but let's dive in.
Let me tell you, now that I've done this that many times, I'm getting quicker and quicker and quicker. Kind of feel a little bit like an expert, people, but I'm clearly not. Now I've got to remove the serpentine belt, and to do this, I've got to use a 3/8 drive bar, release the tension off of the spring-loaded tensioner, and then take the belt off. Pretty easy. Looked it up online. Easy peasy.
Okay, when we do put it all back together, the thermostat is going to be back in because it should be fixed. So let's throw all that in together now, which is this actual thermostat itself, the spring, and the lock
top. Even though the brand new one will arrive with it in there, it seems to be holding, so this could be kept as an emergency spare. Anyway, that's now back together. So, serpentine belt is off. You just use a 3/8 drive bar, and very simple. So far so good. Okay, we've got to take the, there's a separate pulley here that's just part of the system. That comes out. We've got 2 hoses to disconnect from the bottom, which both join at the water pump, and then we can start undoing all the bolts. 13mm bolt, beautiful. So simple. That's that one. So far, this tool has paid for itself already, and it's about to do it again. That's one. Oh yeah. Hose came off pretty easily, and it's very clean as well. It's not all corroded. Bit of wood coming out, which is all fine and dandy. Right, the big one at the bottom. Can we get that one off? With that one in the way. Yes, coming off quite easily. Nice. It's not all corroded either. Let's just move that down there. Okay. Huh. You can see just here, it's all brown, which means it's been coming out. Now, whether that's just because it's been overheated and, you know, been at super high pressure and been leaking out, or that's the main problem. Because you spin the pump here and you can see that coming out. So now I've got to second guess myself. Not exactly sure if that's been there a while or what. Hum, hum, hum. Oh, what to do? Well, I'm going to take the water pump off, look at the impellers, see what's going on, and make a determination from there.
So after being online and having a look, sure enough, there's several videos out there of how to take the water pump off a Chrysler 300. So I pretty much knew what I needed to do. I've got a bit of cardboard at the side of me so that I can take the bolts out of the water pump and put them in place in the same configuration that they've come out. There are 3 different sizes with all different torque settings too, which we'll get to later. But taking one by one out, putting them in the same configuration so that I can put them back in the same place.
I got all the bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, no. Have I? Oh, hang on.
After I had them all out,
There's one under the very bottom.
it just wouldn't come out. And I realised there was still one at the bottom.
No. There. One at the very bottom of that. This very bottom one here. It's not off.
And it wasn't exactly in the easiest of places to get to. But persistence, people, persistence.
pump's just falling off.
Success.
That's one right there. Okay, moment of truth. This gasket will lift off so we can see the impeller, but I can see from here that looks fine. Now that I've taken this gasket off, I can't exactly just shove it back on, can I? Or can I? There's no play in it here, so that's fine. It spins freely. All the impellers are there, there's none broken, they're not worn out. It looks just like the other one, the new one. So, there's no water leaking out of it. The plot thickens.
Team, it's the next day. We're back outside, and after speaking to a good mate of mine, big shout out to Kim from Kim's Cave, coming to a channel near you soon. We made some determination about what is going on, because I said I could spin the pump and it sounded fine, working fine. So we're going to have a quick closer look at the pump, the gasket, and the wall of the block where the water pump joins to. After going over it, talking backwards and forth on a video call, I think we found the problem. This is the actual water pump. This is the bottom part of the water pump. This is where the radiator hose goes to, and obviously that is the top part just there. You can see some little bits of white kind of corrosion as such. What you shouldn't see is it on the outside here. You can see this black line. The black line is the rubber gasket. That is how the gasket sits. It can't go on the wrong way. It just doesn't work. It can only go on one way, so that's the way that sits. And that black line is the leftover of that gasket that's been on there. You can see just here that it's the same. The water has obviously gone past and over. And it also had happened here as well. You can see it all the way along. That is the gasket sitting on top of the water pump. This is excessively white, and it just shouldn't be, and you can see it is quite powdery. You can see up here, looks like water has come past it. Now this is an aluminium gasket. The outside and the middle bit here that goes over the impeller. This is a separate piece to this, and it's joined by this rubber gasket. So we'll now have a quick look at the block where this mounts on. This is the bottom section where the hose joins onto. And all along here, this was actually a lot whiter yesterday. I actually put a hose through here to make sure that we had clear flow in here and it was coming out here. Now, as you can see, this is all completely just exactly how it should be. This down here is not. There's excessive corrosion on here, which tells us that this is overheating and has remained dry. You can see over here, and I had already scraped it away and I didn't get any vision of it, but this white was right on the outside, and you can see that black line, which is where the gasket was sitting. This gasket has failed over this time, and that's where it's gone through. It's come out here, and it's come out here. That's how I've been losing water, and even up here above the gasket line. Now, as for this small part of this thermostat housing that goes on this part of the water pump, I'm not 100% sure, but definitely the gasket has failed. So what is going to happen now is I'm going to clean up the wall of the engine block to get it all smooth and clean. I'm going to get the old water pump, do the same. I'm just going to put it on without the gasket to see that it sits perfectly flat, that there's no rocking, just to make sure it hasn't warped in any way, shape or form. I'm going to do exactly the same with the new water pump. Now the plan is I'm going to keep the old water pump because there's nothing wrong with it if it's no warped. I'll order a new gasket, put it back in the box, shove it up on the shelf, maybe even sell it, I don't know. But the actual water pump itself is fine, it just needs a new gasket. We'll shove the new one on, put the thermostat back on, put water in. Now all the water is out of the system, so I'm going to measure. I'm still not putting the coolant in because the thermostat housing is going to arrive, and it's probably going to arrive early next week. So I'm going to measure the amount of water. It takes 13.4 litres. So I'm going to make sure that amount of water goes in, then I know there's no air in it, and then we'll trial it out. As for that small black thermostat housing area, we'll look at that if need be. I'll keep an eye on it. But let's get on with that.
So very carefully using a scraper and then later a blade, I needed to get off all of the gasket rubber that was on it, on the water pump and on the surface of the wall of the block. Very carefully, because you do not want to gouge or score it. Even though it is a rubber gasket, you still need to be really, really careful with these surfaces. Got out a wire brush to clean up that area that had some white dust on it.
I'm just inside the workshop super quickly just to get out of the wind. I've cleaned up the surfaces on the actual block, cleaned the surface on the original water pump, smoothed them off, used a wire brush to get them really smooth and the dirt off. I've put them together. There is no rocking whatsoever. I put the new one on just to make sure, and it is absolutely sitting flush which is really good. So just going to put the new one on with the new gasket, obviously, put it all together, put the thermostat housing back in, get some water in this, and then test drive it.
So it's just the reverse of taking it off. Using the bolts in the right configuration to go back into the right places is key, because even though some of them are the same diameter, they're actually different lengths as well. Now I did find a chart too online with all the different torque settings for each one, but I don't have a torque wrench, as we'll talk about a little later.
Team, that is the water pump all in. Thermostat housings in, all the hoses connected up. There was a sequence, which you've seen on the screen, as to which the bolts are to be torqued up, but I don't have a torque wrench. Lachlan's got one, but its lowest setting is 70 Newton meters. The 10 mils were 12 Newton meters. The super large one, the 16 mil, was 55 Newton meters, and the 213s were, I can't remember, but it's on the screen. Anyway, so I've gone through with feel the 10 mils, made sure they're not over tight, did the others, and obviously the larger one was quite tight. And then I went through and just checked them again, making sure that they all felt the same. So I hope that works. Anyway, another tool I need to add to the wish list. So now we're going to put in 13.25 to 13.4 litres. I've put air through the block just to make sure I had as much water out as I possibly could. So we'll measure the amount of water we've put in. making sure I'm getting that amount of water in, getting the air out, and then test driving it.
So this is the really important part, simply because you need to know how much water is in the system, because then that will determine how much air would be in the system.
No.
Yeah. Can you believe it?
Are you kidding me?
Unreal. Bad news.
Well, life just wants to throw you some curveballs every now and then. That is the bleed screw from the thermostat housing off the Chrysler. I was loosening it off to open it up so obviously I could let the air escape out when I started to put the water in. So I got 5 litres in. I thought, I'll fill the bottle up, loosen this, and, well, let me give you a hint. It's not supposed to be that short. It's probably at least double that length. It broke off. Really? Anyway, what that means is that I can't do any more with the Chrysler. I now have to wait for that new thermostat housing to arrive. So, hopefully it arrives Monday, Tuesday at the very latest, but even then, if it doesn't arrive Monday, I can't do the Chrysler now. Get it finished until probably after Christmas, because it's a busy time of year, isn't it? Anyway, so that means it's time to get back to the Merc.